For the second consecutive day, the economy has recorded better than expected figures, this time a jump in new jobs. But the opposition's written off the run of good news as nothing more than the occasional good statistic. And it's called the Prime Minister's latest pitch to working parents a poll-driven waste of time. Political correspondent Iggulden reports from Canberra.
Figures out today showed unemployment ticked up a notch to 5.1%, but that wasn't the figure that took markets and politicians by surprise. Last month, the economy added a whopping 46,000 full-time jobs, offset by the loss of 7,000 jobs. Compare the bottom line of 39,000 jobs with that of the United States, an economy 14 times the size of Australia's, and which added just 69,000 jobs over the same period. The reason unemployment ticked up was that more Australians decided they wanted to look for a job, a sign of growing confidence among workers.
You know, each month I've sort of held my breath as Employment Minister and wondered if there'd be stronger bad news. But I have to say that there's something happening in the Australian economy. People are participating, people are trying to do their best.
Coming off yesterday's impressive economic growth numbers and Tuesday's interest rate cut, the economy looks to be in a sweet spot with a workforce that's growing in response.
To over 8,100,000 Australians, which is the highest number ever on record for Australians working full-time. The reality is that there are sections of the economy which are working well, not just the mining sector.
But the opposition's not so sure about that.
The fact of the matter is, we can do better in Australia. We should have more jobs.
Economic management does not depend on the occasional good statistic. Economic management depends upon consistent good policy.
But these good statistics are putting the opposition in a bind. At a community forum today, even a high school student wondered if Tony Abbott could tone down the coalition's approach.
Don't you think it would be more helpful if you could more clearly outline an alternative positive vision for Australia?
I don't believe that that is a fair characterisation of the positions that my colleagues and I are putting forward.
And speaking of jobs, the opposition leader remembered his first vocational ambitions.
I used to fantasise as a very young boy about being a truck driver.
The Prime Minister also took a trip down memory lane in her appearance today.
A girl can always get a job if she can type. so my mother said when I was 15.
That certainly came in handy chatting with mothers and childcare workers on a website. As the opposition points out, amongst the good economic news of late was the more sobering figure that the cost of childcare has risen 17% since Gillard took office.
What are you going to do to keep childcare affordable and to keep good people in the sector? Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
The web chat was a prelude to a more serious sit-down with unions and childcare centre owners.
A very, very constructive meeting with childcare representatives from around the country.
Or as Tony Abbott put it,
just another talk fest to deal with a problem which has just got worse under her government. Is just a bit of window dressing from a Prime Minister who is hoping to talk up next week's news poll.
Gillard admits she's stumped for now.
Today's meeting was always going to be the start of a discussion, not the end of a discussion.
But then again, Tony Abbott's also stumped.
And that's why we are going to have a full Productivity Commission review of how we can make childcare more affordable and more flexible.
The cost of childcare might be political quicksand, but it does have a real impact on voters. However good the headline economic data is, the government's unlikely to abandon its sympathetic rhetoric on cost of living pressures. Iggulden, Lateline.